Hello, this is episode 12 of Baba Yaga's Magic, Kolyada, Ancient Winter Rituals. Well, on the darkest night of the year, when the world is cold and the sun only peeks out for a few short hours every day, we all need something to lift our spirits. In ancient times, this liminal period between the waning sun and the waxing sun was seen as a time of magic. And so, in almost every culture, there are rituals and rites that invite the sun's return. The Slavic countries are no exception. Long before the advent of Christianity, we began to celebrate a special winter holiday filled with rituals to banish evil, invite abundance, and honor our ancestors. There was fun, feasting, dressing up, singing, dancing, and fortune telling, the perfect activities to lift those long, dark night blues. Well, in this episode of Baba Yaga's Magic, I'm going to cover all of the unique and magical aspects of this very special time of year. But before we dive in, I got a little announcement to make. You know how the amazing full moon spell kits and workshops and the new moon candle spell kits, workshops, and services that I create every month just for you? You know about those, right? And each is available for only 1 week out of the year, and then it goes away forever. But did you know that we have something new? Subscription services. If you've ever wanted to participate in the new moon or full moon spells, but missed the window of opportunity to get one, you know how frustrating and disappointing it can be. But we have a solution. You can subscribe to the full moon spell kit and workshop or the new moon candle spell kits, workshops, and services, and get a guaranteed spot at the head of the line to be the very first to get yours sent to you. Whenever you sign up for a new moon or full moon subscription, you'll just get charged for 1 month, and you'll be the first in line to get it when it goes live. Each month, you'll be charged on the same day of the month that you started your subscription, and will only be charged for the next kit or service. Not only that, but if you subscribed, you'll get the spell at a discount. There's no minimum number of months to stay subscribed. You can unsubscribe at any time. Really, it couldn't be easier. So if you'd like to sign up now and get in on the next special spell, go to fullmoonspell.com to find the full moon spell subscription, or go to newmoonspells.com to find the new moon spell subscription and sign up today. All right, let's talk about Kolyada. Kolyada is sometimes called Kolyada, Kolyada. These are the names in the Slavic countries for these winter solstice celebrations. The word Kolyada or Kolyada or Kolyada, this word is so ancient that no one is quite sure where it began. There's lots of theories though. One of the theories is that it's named after Kolyada, who is the infant sun god. The other theory is that it's named after Kolyada, the ancient goddess of the sky, who is responsible for the sunrise. Or other people say that the word may have evolved from words referring to the calendar. The circle of the year, kolo in Ukrainian, is a circle. So the circle of the year, or the turning of the sun in the sky. Well, Kolyada is exactly that. It is a welcome back ceremony for the newborn son. And like the Western European 12 days of Christmas, the revels of Kolyada take place over several days. Now, originally, this celebration of Kolyada would have begun on the winter solstice, but nowadays, these pagan traditions have merged with the Orthodox Christmas and Christmas traditions. And so for many, these festivities start on December 25th and run through January 6th if they're following the Gregorian calendar, or they start on January 6th and extend to the 19th if they're following the Julian calendar. Now, why do I bring those two calendars up? Well, Ukrainian people get to celebrate two Christmases every year. They have the official sort of public Christmas on December 25th, But for people that follow the Eastern Orthodox Church or the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church, they follow the Julian calendar and celebrate Christmas on January 6th, January 7th, actually. January 6th is Christmas Eve, but that's when the celebrations begin. So you get to see there's two different dates. It's a little confusing, but I want you to know that just in case you're like looking for these holidays and you're finding different dates, you'll understand why. Now, one of the biggest features of Kolyada is the caroling. Caroling and going door to door and singing songs and doing ritual is something that predates Christianity in Ukraine and many of the other Slavic lands. And it's still quite popular today. In ancient times, these songs weren't just beautiful, tunes or something for entertainment. They were actually truly magical. Songs were and still are incantations. And so the kolyadki, or the special songs of Kolyada, are incantations and spells put to music to bring blessings to the household and the people that are living in the house. And like weaving that spell, it's still believed to this day that what you sing about at Kolyada will come true. It's a spell. Amazing, right? On each of the days of Kolyada, bonfires are lit and carolers go from house to house, and they carry candles or lanterns as symbols to invite back the sun. That was more traditional in the olden days. Nowadays, people do things like light fireworks or sparklers, or they go from door to door carrying this big papier-mâché sun symbol held high on a stick. They go from door to door, they bring their musical instruments and dress up festively and knock at the door and then ask permission from the people of the house to come in. And so they are invited into the home by the family, by the householders. And these singers and musicians go through a formalized series of performances. Now, the most basic one is they might say a little poem, and then that poem might be greeting the people of the house, the head of the house, greeting the kids, and so on. And then they would sing some carols. That's like the minimum. But in old days, and people that are really reviving this and bringing this back, they'll do much more. They'll not only say that greeting poem, they'll not only sing that carols, they'll be dancing. There might be a little humorous skit or a puppet show with funny jokes that poke good-natured fun at the members of the household while wishing them some abundance and love and happiness and health and protection throughout the year. If the homeowners want to receive these blessings and also avoid pranks by the carolers, there's a little bit of like Halloween energy in there. They put food, sweets, or money into the caroler sack, just like we do trick-or-treating. Then at the end of the evening, the carolers divide up all of their plunder that they got and enjoy a feast. They eat the food, they might divide up the money, the coins, the sweets, and everything, and enjoy a nice little snack there. Now, in older times, this ritual of going door to door actually had a whole other level of magic to it. This was really relating to the solstice goat. Now, what do I mean by solstice goat? Well, the revelers who came from door to door would dress up in mumming costumes or mummers costumes. Mumming means you're dressing up like a character to scare away an evil spirit. So you might see pictures. I've posted a lot of pictures of the people who do mumming in lots of different countries. They dress up like monsters, for example, might be big and hairy. Krampus, who's very famous now, wasn't famous 10 years ago, but now is famous, is another example of mumming. He's a big, scary, devilly goat man, and he's supposed to scare away the evil spirits. So these revelers will dress up in these mumming costumes, and they might dress up as animals, or they might be a monster, and so on. Often the animals that they would dress up would be animals that were regional: wolves, goats, bears, and so on. Now, it may be that at one time these animals were sacrificed as an offering to the gods or the spirits, but nowadays they're just really just treated as special visitors from the spirit realm. And this is a very shamanic thing to do, to dress up in or to take on the persona, to shapeshift into an animal. And these supernatural creatures from the lower world can bestow blessings on us in the middle world. Now, the koza, the goat, the name in Ukrainian, koza is goat, is really a very, very magical being at this winter festival. He's seen as a fertility symbol, and he's looked upon with really a very special honor for that time when people want to call back the sun. So why the goat? Well, probably because the goats were easy to get. They're a farm animal, and they would have been sacrificed at this time to bring fertility to the people of the community. And maybe the goat meat was roasted and shared and so on and so forth. Well, now we're not sacrificing animals at this time, but we have a sacrifice play that happens. So the goat comes into the house. Usually it's a young man wearing the sheepskin coat, and he has a goat mask on. He might have ears made out of wheat, and he performs a little dance that's meant to bring in an abundant harvest. Now, the rest of the people that are with him will sing songs, and they have lyrics that talk about fertility and the return of the sun. So and abundance and so on. So there's a little song that translates to where the goat grows. Oh, sorry, where the goat goes, there wheat grows. Where the goat stamps its feet, there are 7 sheaves of wheat. So they're talking about this idea that the goat is going to bring in abundance for the farm, right? Then they do a little pantomime where the goat is pursued by hunters and wolves, and then the goat is, pantomimed that it's killed and gutted. And then the singers call out, "Come alive, goat." And the goat rises from the dead and returns to the imaginary field. And the field also comes back to life. So there's this acting out of the winter death and rebirth of the spring. That reborn goat is led around the house by the children of the home, who pretend to sow wheat, to put down wheat seeds. And the goat finishes his performance with a blessing of abundance for the household. The blessing, one of the blessings that we have recorded is this: "May the farmer's cattle be unbedeviled and full of milk, and may his oats sow themselves and his wheat be of the best sort." So it's just a lovely little blessing for a farm, beautiful, beautiful old traditional practice. Now, we also look at the holiday of winter solstice, Christmas and New Year's, as time when our ancestors visit us. Now, while all this, fun and merrymaking and singing door to door and doing plays and giving out treats and all that is going on, we never forget really that our ancestors are near. And during the holidays, we make a special porridge that's made out of wheat berries, poppy seeds, dried fruit, sometimes nuts, butter, and honey is added. And this porridge is called kutya, which is served to our ancestors and also shared with the living. It's the first dish that's served for the 12 dishes of Sviati Večer, Holy Night, the night before Christmas. And so this little dish that's served to the ancestors is also served to the people who are alive. Now, in the old days, there was a lot of ritual around making kutya. And wood would be stacked in a special way in the wood stove and lit with living fire. Remember, we talked about living fire before, made with rubbing sticks together to make that very special magical fire. The wheat would be soaked in untapped water, untouched water. That was water that's drawn from a well before the sun has risen. And that would have been very magical water, and water that was blessed during the night by Kolyada, the infant sun god. So now, this would be cooked on the stove and then prepared. It takes a long time to cook, and then it's prepared and it's served to the ancestors. Now, nowadays, people still make kutya. They prepare it and they do some kind of, fortune telling with it. So if you make your kutya and it's delicious, you're going to have a good year. But if you make it and it doesn't come out right or it doesn't taste good, that says you're going to have a difficult year. So they would throw it away and quickly make a new pot of kutya so they wouldn't have a bad year. So they make that tasty, fragrant, fluffy, beautiful porridge, and that would be a good year for the family, and everybody would eat it to fulfill that prediction. Now, there's another tradition that goes along with the winter solstice, and that's the practice of honoring the ancestors that is a holdover from pagan times, and that is the blessed sheaf of grains called the diduk. The diduk itself, that word means grandfather spirit. And this sheaf of wheat could be made out of wheat, rye, whatever grains are grown locally, or oats. It represents a sacrifice from the autumn harvest. So at autumn, the best wheat sheaf, or sometimes the last sheaf of grains, is collected and stored until winter. Then that sheaf of wheat is put together and decorated. You might decorate it with ribbons or woven straw ornaments, and then it's displayed in the house from winter solstice until the spring sun festival of Maznitsia, which is the Slavic Mardi Gras. So it could be, sometimes there's different, sort of regional traditions. Some people just only have it over Christmas Eve and then they burn it the next day. Other times they keep it for a few weeks. Now, it's believed that that diduk, that sheaf of wheat, is a temporary home for the spirits of our ancestors. So it's placed in the special pokut, the special eastern corner of the home, where people would have an icon. They would have their ancestor spirits there. They would do their ancestor work there. They would have special magical items there, blessed items, and so on. It's a very holy corner of the home. So they place the diduk in that eastern corner and invited the spirits of the ancestors to join the family for the beautiful celebrations and feasting and fun and so on, to bring abundance, to bring health, to bring protection to the family. That bowl of kutya is offered a glass of uzvar, which is a ritual drink made from dried fruit sweetened with honey. They're all placed next to the diduk to make an offering to the ancestors while they visit at this special time. Now, Kolyada, in the middle of winter, you would think of that, we think of like fortune telling going along with Halloween, right? Well, actually, in many places, including many times in Western Europe even, winter and Christmas was a time when the spirits were most active. This idea that the spirits are active at winter solstice goes all the way across Europe. And of course, when we think of spirits, we think of fortune telling. So this time in Ukrainian spirituality and Slavic spirituality, this time has a very special, let's say, flavor to it. That is that it's liminal time. We're going to be talking about liminal time in an upcoming episode of Magic and the Law of Attraction. No, in Baba Yaga's Magic. We're going to be talking about it coming up soon. But anyway, liminal time is a time where it's not one thing and it's not another. It's kind of in between time, right? So when the sun is waning and then we have winter solstice and then the sun starts waxing, that day of winter solstice, when the sun stands still, is a really liminal time. Now, liminal times are spiritually dangerous, but they're also spiritually open. I guess it's just open, right? They're open times, open to magic. So if you're afraid of magic, then it will be dangerous. You need to protect yourself. If you want to create magic and you want to work with energies, then it's a super powerful and magical time. So liminal spaces are used in things like fortune telling. Liminal times are used in things like fortune telling and magic. There are all kinds of unusual legends that go along with Kolyada. They might say things like animals have the ability to speak that one night, or blue flames will show up when you're out walking around in the forest, showing where buried treasure is. Or on a liminal day, it's like the old year is dying and the new year is beginning. So this is the best time for telling the future. And the dreams that you have during Kolyada are especially prophetic and can foretell blessings or warn of dangers so that they can be avoided. This is a very, very magical time. Now, along with all this magic that's happening to you, it's a great time for fortune telling. And there are lots and lots and lots of fortune telling games. I mean, lots of them in Slavic magic that people do with their friends and their family. So now when I was growing up, We would always do, fortune telling sort of any time of year. It didn't really matter. We would play these little fun divination games and use these different methods and so on. But many of them really were designed for, especially during Kolyada. So in a minute, I'm going to tell you a few of these wintertime fortune telling methods. But before I do that, I'd like to ask you a question. Would you like to win a free spell kit by me, Madam Pamita? Each month, we give away a different beeswax candle spell kit to one lucky winner. These candle spell kits include everything you need to cast a beautiful candle spell. They come with a beeswax figural candle, spiritual oil, herbs, and complete step-by-step instructions. No purchase is required. Anyone, anywhere in the world can enter to win this gorgeous beeswax candle spell kit, but you must be over 18. Want to get in on it? Simply go to magicgiveaway.com and enter your email to be entered in the contest, and you could win a fabulous prize. All right, let's talk about foretelling the future during Kolyada. So there's lots of different methods and lots of different techniques for telling fortunes during this time. Some are associated with certain days, and there's certain things that's like finding your love, your future love, finding this, that, and the other. It's amazing. There's lots and lots of them. So I'm just going to share a few with you. The first one I'm going to tell you is something that we all can do. So this is a method of foretelling what's going to happen for you for the next year. So you take a piece of paper and cut it up into 12 tiny slips of paper. I think, about the size of maybe a fortune cookie fortune. And these 12 slips of paper represent the 12 months of the year and the 12 days of Kolyada. On each slip of paper, write a wish for something that you would like to receive in the coming year. Then put these slips of paper under your pillow before you go to sleep. Now you do this on the night before winter solstice. Then the night of winter solstice, like when it's coming. The next day, when winter solstice is there, in the morning, pull out 3 of those papers from under your pillow. And these 3 wishes are the gifts that you will receive in the coming year. The rest will have to wait for another year, but you'll get those 3. Another form of divination that we do at Kolyada is wax divination. So for that, you melt some beeswax and then you pour it into a bowl of water. Once you do that, the shapes and configurations of the wax can be read in the same way as we read tea leaves. You can also do this very unique thing that's a very fun divination technique, which is to be in a dark room with a candle and have that candle cast the light on the wall, and then hold the wax shape in front of the candle so that you see the shadow, like a shadow figure on the wall, and it can be interpreted. You can see very clearly the shapes, and you can turn it from side to side, and you might see some very interesting shapes that represent symbolic things that can tell you about your year coming ahead. It's just like I said, like reading tea leaves. Now, of course, eating is a big part of the holiday season. So, and Ukrainians for sure love food. Slavic people love food, and they make amazing food. So there's a fortune telling and food combo. Vareniki or pierogi are the little dumplings that are filled with sweet or savory things, sometimes potatoes, sometimes they're filled with kasha, sometimes they're filled with cherries. I mean, there's all different flavors of vareniki. So the cook who makes the vareniki adds a little fortune-telling item to each of the little dumplings. And then when they're served at the family meal, what you get in your dumpling will predict what kind of year you have. So if you bite into your pierogi or your vareniki and you have a coin in it, that means you're going to be wealthy this year. If you have pepper in your vareniki, you're going to have an exciting year full of lots of action. If you have a piece of thread in your vareniki, means you're going to take a long trip. If you have a cherry stone, it means a baby will be born into your family. So there's a lot of these that I'll be sharing at upcoming workshop when I get more into the holiday season and talking about that. But just know that there's this very, very fun, magical way that they incorporate food and this fortune telling time of year when we can predict what we're going to have, what kind of year we're going to have. So that's a lot of fun. Now, Kolyada is really meant to be a time of relaxation, fun, friendship, community, and it's really important to connect with your loved ones. If you can't do it in person, you talk on the phone or you have a thoughtful conversation. If you can't go caroling door to door, you can still call up your friends and wish them a year of health and abundance. Now, there's a special reason that we celebrate each of the days, those 12 days of Kolyada, with joy, friendship, family, eating good food, having good times. How you carry yourself and how you live your life during those 12 days of Kolyada also predict how your year will go. The experience of each of the 12 days foretells how each of the 12 months ahead for you will go. So like your first day of Kolyada will predict how your January will go, second day, how February will go, and so on. So it's really important during those days to be generous, to be happy, to be at peace, and to be mindful so that your year ahead will go smoothly. So there you go, all the information about Kolyada. So however you celebrate this very, very special time of year, I wish you all the love, friendship, happiness, abundance, peace, and health of the season. And like the Kolyada goat says, may your cattle be unbedeviled and full of milk, and may your oats sow themselves and your wheat be of the best sort. Well, that about does it for this episode of Baba Yaga's Magic. If you would like to get even more info about Slavic magic, then check out the Learn page over at parlorofwonders.com, where you'll find a ton of resources, including workshop, blog articles, past podcast episodes, and the way to join me live over Zoom for the Magic Q&A Tea Party, which takes place every Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Eastern. Just go to parlorofwonders.com and click on the Learn tab to see all the goodies there. Thank you to the Spell Squad members out there who have subscribed to and shared this podcast with your friends. Thank you to the fabulous folks who have left reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. Those reviews really help get the word out to the wider world about the podcast, and I appreciate you taking the time to do them. Thank you to Gilles Navarre for production and engineering, and thank you to you for joining me. I'm looking forward to the next episode when we will be learning about liminal times and spaces in Slavic magic. Until next time, this is Madame Pamita and Baba Yaga saying Zamakiu to magic, and may all your stories have the happiest fairy tale endings.